Where I think people get dosing Arimidex wrong on TRT to try to control estrogen and therefore crashing the estradiol is not having a framework to dose it. There's also the question of a schedule. Like, our brains work based on the fact that we do TRT on a schedule. We think we want to dose the Arimidex the same, and we try to do that. When you're trying to dial in Arimidex, should you increase the dose if it isn't enough? I'm going to answer those questions in this video, leaving you with a framework for dialing in Arimidex on a schedule versus as is or as needed, because this is how people dial in on this compound. And if you don't do it right, you're usually going to have problems. And that is what we want to try to avoid. Let's get into it. All right, before we get started, look, Cortex Labs, which is my company, is a TRT guidance and sexual dysfunction resolution company. Got a range of different products. The most popular, all of which are dialed in, targeted toward dialing in on TRT, is high dose TRT mastery. Listen, if you're tired of playing with small doses, medium doses, you're just not getting the libido and erections, the strength and anabolism, get this video course. It'll show you how, while either managing the estrogen or setting up your protocol where you don't need to manage it, getting great libido and erections, but also maintaining high-level anabolism and strength. High-dose TRT mastery is 20% off. You can get it down in the description of this video. We have a source list. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can get that down in the description of this video. I'm a coach/consultant on TRT. The most popular consults lately are the TRT Protocol Audit, 25-minute call with me, full audit of your protocol, suggestions of what to change. The actual most popular consult is the TRT Sexual Function Enhancement Consult. This is for folks that have libido and erection problems on TRT. 45-minute call with me, deep dive into everything, protocol generation for you, as well as adjustments. You can book this in under a minute. We're on the fact-finding call as soon as the next day, down in the description or at livecortex.com. Host of other products around dialing in TRT that you can find at the homepage or down the description of this video. First, as a quick preface, it's important to clear up why people may need to manage estradiol on TRT. By breaking down the things that go wrong, specifically in terms of sexual function when estrogen is either over the general range, the Quest range of 29 picograms per milliliter, or the LabCorp range over 42 picograms per milliliter. Generally on TRT, I like to see people right in the middle there. 30, 35 is absolutely fine. There are anomalies that need to be at 25 or so picograms per milliliter. It's where they're going to get the best sexual function. On higher end doses of testosterone, you generally want to see between 30 and 45 picograms per milliliter if you can manage it. But situations are different, and those are generalities. This is what happens when E2 is out of your particular range relative to your androgens on TRT. Number one, penile sensation starts to dull. Number two, nocturnal erections go away or are far less frequent and far less rigid. Number three, erections for sex are harder to acquire, gain, and maintain, may require Cialis, and may require that you focus more on the act. And then number four, libido is still there typically, but somewhat disconnected and abnormal, and also not consistent. Those are things that happen with estradiol out of the physiologic sweet spot for sexual function for you. We've been over this, but there are many mechanisms by which this can happen. Venous leakage being one of them, the inhibition of penile base erectile rigidity and blood inflow being another, the inhibition of dopamine firing upstream from the hypothalamus is another. This is all scientifically proven and literature-based, and there are a few additional mechanisms, but suffice to say it happens. And if you're dialing in Arimidex, this is the framework you should use. The first principle in dialing in Arimidex, whether it's on a schedule or as is that if you start low, which you should always start low, 0.125 milligrams of Arimidex, that dose throughout your further experimentation is now fixed. The dose is fixed, meaning you do not change the dose if it is not enough Arimidex to get you satisfied in the physiologic sweet spot zone in estradiol for sexual function. Rather, the variable being adjusted is how frequently the 0.125 milligrams of Arimidex is taken. So let me break this down and kind of give you an example. You're on an injection of 200 milligrams of testosterone cypionate. You inject that either 100 every 3.5 days or 200 every 7 days. You recognize you've got sensation, dulling, libido issues, primarily erection issues, and nocturnal erection problems. You start dosing, in this case, your 0.125 milligrams of Arimidex, and then you watch for any response. In the first 2 weeks, but especially the first week of taking Arimidex, you are not trying to determine a schedule. You are merely observing. And what you are observing is if erection quality improves or normalizes within the first 1 to 3 days, call it, of taking the dose of Arimidex. If that happens, then your indication is that the intervention of Arimidex has moved things in a desired direction. Now, this is where you have to observe, and you can't just automatically take another dose of Arimidex because a predetermined number of days has passed. This is why it's critical to usually dose as needed, but first in an observation window. What you're looking to do is this. Number one, do nothing if erection quality remains good and for however long it remains good. Okay, so if you take the 0.125 milligrams of Arimidex, erections get better. Usually this happens within 24 hours because you are reducing a large degree of aromatization within that time where the Arimidex is actually at its max potency. That is 24 hours after dosing. It's actually in the blood at its max capacity a few hours after dosing. Do nothing if erections become good. Don't shorten the dosing interval while sexual function remains where you want to be. Don't take another dose of Arimidex. You're observing at this point how many days it takes for erection quality to then go south, which would indicate specifically the half-life has passed for Arimidex. Estradiol is coming back up again. It's starting to exert its inhibitory effects on erectile quality and libido, and you are now observing when that fully happens. Again, initially when trying to dial in Arimidex, you're not dosing it on a schedule. You are dosing it once, and you are observing when erectile quality gets better, how long it stays better, and when things start to go south again. Now, here's the critical distinction. If erection quality starts deteriorating again, note exactly how many days have passed since the previous 0.125 milligram dose of an anastrozole or Arimidex. The failure point then becomes information about the approximate duration of the effective window of Arimidex. In other words, when erections fail, you recognize that you took 0.125 milligrams of Arimidex on day 1, and then erections started failing at day 4.5. So day 1 through day 4.5 is the approximate duration of the effective window of Arimidex, of that Arimidex dose. If in the middle, if you run that consistently, I would actually not dose it on a schedule, but I would dose that same strategy again for the subsequent week, not landing on a schedule, but recognizing things go south at day 4.5. You don't want to view that on day 4.5 erections get bad, and therefore on day 5 dose more Arimidex. You actually want to wait a full 7 days for that first iteration. Again, you're just observing. Maybe that one day where things got bad is just a fluke and things will come back. And every 7 days of 0.125 milligrams Arimidex is perfect for you. But if you give that 2 iterations of dosing every 7 days, and you find that still, you've proven now that at day 4, day 5, day 6, erection quality starts failing, that's the point at which you want to adjust the frequency of the Arimidex, not the dose. You've done your observation window. That's the critical first pillar. You observe without impulsively wanting to change anything or increase the dose or increase the frequency of Arimidex. Now you have data. At day 4.5, erection quality goes south, right? Day 4, day 3 into day 4 overnight, you've got you've got potentially erectile failure or far less rigidity for penetrative sex on day 4 or day 4.5. This is important data. Now you know that in every 7-day administration of 0.125 milligrams of Arimidex is probably not sufficient for keeping you exactly in the window. If you can tolerate this, where the first 4 days or so, sex is great, everything's good, sensations back, libido's back, the latter 3 days of your 7-day period, things kind of start to go south, tolerate it. I mean, we don't have to necessarily be with ragers and super libido 7 days a week, but a lot of us want to, so that's your choice at that point. If you want to further adjust the Arimidex dose, don't change the dose, change the frequency. Okay, you've proven every 7 days, good for 4 days, starts failing thereafter for the subsequent 3 days. What I would then do is not dose it every 5th day. I'd dose it every 6th day. Okay, I'd run 2 more iterations of dosing it every 6th day. Remember, Arimidex has about a 52-hour half-life, but even at day 4, day 5, it's still inhibiting aromatase to some extent. If you look at half-life profiles, there's still some bit of the drug as it continually reduces in quantity and therefore efficacy in your blood. So you don't want to jump to every 5 days in that particular case. You'd want to move it down in 1 day increments. Okay. That is a safe rule for Arimidex over the course of a 7-day period. So the next iteration on your 200 test, you run 0.125 milligrams Arimidex every 6 days, and you do that for 2 iterations. Each iteration should be done twice to make sure that you're not just having flukes in the negative erectile quality reduction libido that happens toward the latter end of the effect duration window of the Arimidex. Okay, so conceptually, if every 7 days is too infrequent, then test every 6 days. If every 6 days is still too infrequent, then test every 5th day. If every 5th day is still too infrequent, then test every 4th day, but recognize at that point you probably want to lower the test dose a little bit and keep the every 5th or 6th day frequency. And for sure, you don't want to go any closer together than every 4th day. It's pretty rare where a person needs Arimidex every 3rd day or something. Only on high doses of test or super high aromatizers, those folks I've seen need to take Arimidex as close as every other day to dial in on TRT. Your goal is to find the minimum effective frequency. If you reach a frequency at which erections become good after dosing and remain good throughout the entire interval until the next scheduled dose, then stop shortening the interval. Don't shorten the interval anymore, meaning don't take it more frequently. The goal being your whatever dose of Arimidex, 0.125, 0.5, 0.25, or 0.5, executed on the least frequent dosing schedule that maintains stable erectile function throughout the entire 7-day cycle. The core algorithm being, if erections are bad, give the intervention, i.e. the aromatase inhibitor, time to produce its effect. If erections become good, do nothing. If erections remain good, do nothing. If erections begin failing before the next planned dose, document the failure day. Also do nothing. If failure repeatedly occurs before day 7, shorten the interval of your dose of Arimidex by 1 day at a time. That's the core algorithm. Now, I want to make this clear. It's not always going to be perfect for everybody, but you need to employ a framework, a logical framework in dialing in Arimidex. This drug is very potent, very powerful. And if you're chasing 1 to 2 day effects here and you're not giving it sufficient time to see, is the frequency right for me? This is where you run the risk of crashing estradiol. You also run the risk of crashing estradiol if you're dosing too frequently. And you also run the risk of crashing estradiol if you increase the dose instead of decreasing the frequency. I think using that template and those sort of if-then logic statements, most people can dial in on Arimidex. That is the general template that works for me as a coach. It's all conditional logic from the top down, with the objective being find the minimum effective dose and frequency to maintain sexual function throughout a 7-day period. Nothing more, nothing less. All right, boys, regarding digital products like high-dose TRT mastery, mastering libido and erections on TRT, we're employing a lot of this logic and showing you protocols on how to dial in, mastering testosterone cypionate for sexual function, mastering testosterone cream, the source list. All the digital products right now are 20% off. The code is on the screen. It's 20 now. The most popular course or product lately has been high dose TRT mastery for probably obvious reasons. Listen, a lot of people are just tired of dosing 125, 130, 115, even 150. They're just not getting it done. Okay, they go up to 200 a week. They spread it out sufficiently. Employ the strategies in this course. They're dialed in, but with also great libido, better than on previously low end doses of TRT, but with high level anabolism and energy too. Translation, you finally dialed in TRT the way it's supposed to feel. That's what we break down in High Dose TRT Mastery, the most popular course we've ever built. It's 20% off again, as I said. Code's on the screen and down the description of this video. Listen, if you need to hire me for any of this, this is all I do Monday through Friday from 9 in the morning until about 5 p.m. with the exception of gym breaks and content. And I've been doing this for years. Listen, we'll dial in the sexual function. The most popular consults right now are TRT protocol audit, 25-minute call with me, an audit of your entire protocol, suggestions on what to fix. You will be taking notes in that particular case. If you'd like not to take notes and have more of my time, book the sexual function consult. This is specifically for libido and erection problems on TRT. 45-minute deep dive call. I will generate on an online command center the protocols you need to execute, as well as adjustments for you to dial in sexual function specifically on testosterone replacement therapy. You can book any of the stuff in under a minute, livecortex.com. You and I are the fact-finding call or the call the next day or ASAP. There's also longer-term coaching for bigger problems for people with higher budgets. And if you want me consistently for a 3 to 6 month period, those rates and details are down in the description of this video or livecortex.com. All right, my brother in test. I hope this has been an informational video for you. This is an important topic and it needed to be put out there. Like the video. If it made a difference for you, please like it. It makes a difference to me. If you like it, I actually need you to like it. Sub to the channel. Love to have you on board. Been talking about this stuff forever. Will continue talking about this or more. Love to have you as a subscriber. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. Brother, enjoy the rest of your day. And I talk to you in the next one.